Chernobyl.
Why hasn't it been possible to contain the nuclear energy and substances generated by the nuclear reactor's explosion in Chernobyl in 1986? Because the radiation is in the atmosphere, so there is no way to contain it. The only way is by time passing by. What is that makes nuclear energy to be so dangerous? Nuclear energy is made in a station and it releases radiation to the atmosphere, and even if you smelled, and it can cause health problems, and if the station stops working the results may be lethal. Why is it said that nuclear reaction generates an exponential growth of the atoms? Those atoms have exponential growth because they weren't any of those atoms, but they rapidly appear because of the stations. When will all the nuclear energy and substances released by this explosion be dissolved? Can they be cleaned out completely? In approximately 500 years, the nuclear energy and substances can be cleaned completely. It's just a matter of time.
What is Chernobyl?
The Chernobyl disaster is the biggest nuclear mishandle accident even to this day. On April 24, 1986, the Chernobyl nuclear station suffered a major accident which was followed by a prolonged release of large quantities of radioactive substances to the atmosphere, affecting the northern hemisphere and also affecting Europe, all of Europe, even USA and Canada and Japan. The Unit 4 of the Chernobyl nuclear station was shut down for routine maintenance on April 25, and it was decided to carry out a test of capability, but it was done incorrectly and it was mishandled. This test unfortunately was done without the proper information and didn't realize of the endangerment of not having proper safety measures. This action led to the problems soon to come. The combination of the factors provoked of the sudden and uncontrollable power surge, which resulted in a violent explosion and almost total explosion of the destruction of the reactor. So in conclusion, all of this, the inside of the nuclear station conduct up to the nuclear accident, and even to this day the nuclear activity is in the air and has caused little diseases and disability and has affected all over the world, and many people died in that day. And even to this day you cannot enter Chernobyl because of the radioactive.
Are you aware that there is a nuclear energy plant in Mexico? En Laguna Verde, in Alto Lucero, Veracruz. We think this is safe, as long as everything works as it's supposed to work. But we're not agree with this fact, because we can have several issues in the future of the nature. As the Chernobyl catastrophe, a nuclear plant can have any human errors. It can destroy the environment, contamination can increase. Let's think about a catastrophic event where the nuclear plant has a malfunction. The contamination starts spreading through all Mexico. Ciudad de Mexico will have the worst situation because of its great percentage of contamination. The result will be catastrophic.
Could the Chernobyl 1986 nuclear disaster have been prevented? How? Once the explosion happened, was there any way to stop the radiation and its pollution? The disaster could be prevented by using the automation method. An automatic safety interlock would have prevented the start of the test until the 700 MWT limit was reached. Unfortunately, automatic safety interlocks can prevent accidents only if they exist, and in that time there were no advanced systems like now. The consequences of these explosions are devastating. There would not be any way to stop the spread of nuclear molecules.
Do you think that the radioactive pollution generated by this disaster reached Mexico? No, because we're so far away from there. The radiation just spread to the Norway of Ukraine. But we cannot be sure if this little radioactive can reach Mexico in the future. What are at least four environmental consequences of the Chernobyl disaster? Number 1. 400 times more radioactive material was released on the Chernobyl than the atomic bombing of Hiroshima. Number 2. Mutation in both humans and other animals increased. Number 3. Acid rain and contamination spread over the Norway of Russia. Number 4. The city of Pripyat is now abandoned. Nobody can live there and now it's isolated because of the corrosion of contamination.
What are the environmental consequences in a global scale of other nuclear disasters and use of nuclear weapons? As we saw on the Chernobyl disaster, mutations, the rate became acid. All of this because of the usage of nuclear activity. Let's think that environment is like a jar. We can see the Chernobyl disaster as a little fracture on the jar. If we continue heating it, that fracture with the same kind of disasters, the jar would break, losing its shape and what it has inside. What do you think and feel about these consequences? We feel that this disaster was not necessary to be in history, but it was a fatal error. It would be evaded so easily by just doing the right thing, the right calculations and the right decisions. Henry Tandy, the man who let Hitler live in World War I, did a wrong decision, and it also has a huge impact on history. Something that with the right decision would change. What would be a solution proposal for this situation? Our solution could be improved by technology for special prevention of the interlock system, designed just for this type of situations.
Exponential decay is the rate of decay that is directly proportional of the amount percent. What is exponential growth? Exponential growth is an increasing number of size and continuous growing rate. The function it represents is y equals a 1 over r to the x. It has a constant increase and it always grows each time faster.
Bank accounts that accrue interest represent another example of exponential growth. Another example is the mathematical model of exponential growth that is used to describe the world situation in population biology and is used to finance in other fields, or you can use the population itself.